Welcome to Midlife Matters. I'm Marie, and each week I'm joined by my friends Julie and Mindy to talk about all the topics keeping women in the middle years up at night. It looks like we'll be continuing social distancing guidelines and sheltering at home throughout the month of April. Today we've got lots of ideas for how to make our time in quarantine more fun, interesting, and productive. Listen to learn what we're doing and what we want to try. Also, follow us on Instagram to share your quarantine ideas with us and the whole Midlife Matters community. Let's get started. Hi, Mindy.
Hey, Marie.
Hi, Julie.
Hi, Marie.
It's April Fool's Day, you guys. Oh, how I wish someone would say President Trump's announcement of 30 more days of social distancing is an April Fool's Day joke.
Oh, me too.
Yep, you and me both.
Oh, but since it's not, we thought that we would offer listeners some cheer. Listeners, we're going to give you some fun, interesting, or productive things to do during this quarantine period. Mindy, Julie, and I, we've all come up with 5 things that we think you guys will either enjoy or find helpful. Mindy and Julie, are you guys ready?
Oh, totally.
Did you have to rack your brain, or are you feeling pretty good about your level of activity during this time of shelter in place?
Well, when one of my habits is literally sleeping later and later every day, I feel pretty comfortable with this list.
I know it's kind of nice when you sleep late, you just miss breakfast altogether. You didn't have to worry about that meal.
I know it's helpful with my intermittent fasting. I do have to say that.
I did have a little bit of trouble coming up with things that I thought other people would enjoy doing, but once you get going, it's like, oh yeah, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have for what can I add to my life to make the next 30 days honestly bearable.
Right, true.
So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was you can do an at-home project. You can use what you have. I have this painted finish on my porch table that had been cracking and flaking for over a year. And this is a table that we bought for our dining room over 20 years ago. And it's lived in our kitchen, and now it lived out on the porch, and I had painted it over the years. So it served us well. And I'd been looking on Facebook Marketplace, and I saw something that I liked, and it just slipped through my fingers. Someone got it just before me. You know how you always feel when you just miss out on those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like just a few days before the quarantine started. So I thought, well, I'm probably not going to be going around looking at people's tables in their homes for a while. Right. So what can I do with my own porch table? Of course, my girls had just gotten out of school, and I thought, ooh, they need a little project. So, it worked out great. Just for the cost of paying a little bit of money for Lauren, I had all the other supplies. The finish on my porch table has been sanded. It's been repainted. It's ready to use for summer. And I figure, hey, if I want to look for something new next summer, I can. But at least that project is out of the way now.
Oh, I'm impressed.
Right.
Yeah. So I know that all of us, we probably have supplies around our house of things that we could do, even if it's just touching up your woodwork, your baseboards, things that we really want to put off. This might be a good time to do this during this month.
Well, I mean, the idea is there. And every single day, I think about the same exact projects. And I love what you said, Marie. I'm thinking the same thing. What do I already have on hand that I can use to kind of work on things that I usually don't have time to do? But my level of laziness continues to grow day by day. So I do have paint sitting in my basement that I could really paint my room or, do these painting projects that I would like to do. It's still sitting there and I'm still just thinking about it. And every day I'm more and more comfortable letting it sit.
Well, hopefully you'll get inspired a little bit, Mindy.
I mean, it would be nice if it were done at the same time.
Yeah.
Do I really want to spend I can't even go down there to see, do I have rollers or do I need to buy them? I've been thinking for a week, I should go check if I have my supplies ready.
Yeah.
I hadn't even done that yet. It's still on my list to do.
Well, Julie, why don't you share with listeners what you told me about Sherwin-Williams paint sales?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. We have a friend who works in a business that he's still working in. He said he met someone that was work for Sherwin-Williams and said that their business is just booming. Everybody's coming in for paint and supplies. And that's something I hadn't even thought about until my daughter mentioned repainting a room. And I thought, oh, this is what I need to do.
Right.
There's a room that needs a little attention and I've been putting it off. And this is the perfect time to do something like that because I don't really enjoy painting anymore.
Right. That sounds like a great thing. All right, Mindy, what's the first thing you brought listeners to try this month?
I am kicking it old school. And so I'd love to talk about some activities I'm incorporating into my home. I was at Target the other day, and right at the front of the store, they had chalk and they had bubbles. I used to buy those things all the time for the kids in the summer when my kids were little. But seriously, all 4 of my children are excited that I bought chalk and bubbles.
I've seen a lot of neat chalk artwork on people's driveways.
Yes. So everybody's going to take a couple of squares and decorate. Very simple, very cheap, and really fun to just get outside, especially if the weather's nice. Honestly, I've noticed if the weather's nice, I can handle pretty much anything. It's the rainy, cold days that are killing me. So,
yeah. Julie, what's the first thing you brought for listeners to try this month?
My first thing has to do with a food. I've been wanting to learn how to make homemade sourdough. And so I started with homemade sourdough pizza dough.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a little bit persnickety because you have to make a starter and, let it grow. And then you have to feed it.
Right.
And then you have to mix your dough. And then you kind of have to babysit your dough for several hours. So this is not sounding like something a lot of people probably want to add to their life right now, but I've had the time to do it because you do kind of have to work with it. My first recipe made 8 balls of dough.
Wow.
And then I went ahead and just put them in little bags in the freezer. And so for 2 Friday nights now, we've pulled those out and made homemade pizza. So that's going to be my quarantine tradition. We are having homemade pizza every Friday night, and it was yummy. It was very, very good.
I thought it looked great when you posted it. I want to try sourdough pizza.
I totally agree. It looked delicious, Julie.
I agree with you. I feel like food is a really big thing. It's like sometimes the only thing that we're looking forward to in the day is what are we going to have for dinner? And like before the quarantine, I would have just served like leftovers or some meal that 2 out of 5 people living here really liked, as long as I liked it decently. But now it's like I don't want to disappoint people with a meal that they don't like because that might have been the only thing they were looking forward to all day. So I've been finding that one of the fun things that we've done the past couple of weeks, and this is something that people can try if you have a Trader Joe's near you, is we have gone to Trader Joe's. And I usually only go a few times a year because it's so inconvenient on the side of town that it is here in Nashville. But they are doing such a great job in this pandemic. They only let 30 carts in the store at a time. And so as one cart leaves, they hand you a freshly cleaned cart. You go in. They're very well stocked. They even had toilet paper the other day. And we have had a great time picking out 3 to 4 meals that we don't normally get and coming home and trying them.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so that's been really fun. My girls found these really great, are they called acai bowls?
Yes.
That are frozen. You leave them in the refrigerator overnight, and then they got to have a treat for breakfast. I've tried a couple of Julie's recipe suggestions, the Euro meat on the naan bread, and then she had suggested these great pork carnitas. So we've just had a really fun time getting new foods, and that can add some variety to your life when you're at home every day.
I love that. Food has been a huge part of our lives as well. The first couple of weeks we were home, I was cooking even up to 3 meals a day. I was constantly in the kitchen, and I just was having so much fun with it. I have really enjoyed taking those quick breads that you can buy. I buy the pumpkin bread or the banana bread, and I've been just adding a bunch of stuff to them and trying different things. They are delicious. So my favorite that I was going to share is the pumpkin bread, quick bread. And I add dried cranberries, mini chocolate chips.
Ooh.
I shake cinnamon and sugar over the bottom of my loaf pan. And then I make a glaze for the top when it's dry with powdered sugar and milk.
Oh, I love that.
It was delicious. I tell you what, I hid the rest of the bread. It was so, so good. And I love things like that where I'm not making the entire thing. I'm just stepping it up and adding things to make it better. So of all of my concoctions, that's one of my favorite things. But I just found a recipe that I'm going to try, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. And it's where you get like the canned biscuits. You cut the biscuits in half, press the half of a biscuit in a muffin pan. And then it was to make like little caprese, like pizza things.
Oh, that
like
sounds
in your
cute.
muffin pan. Well,
Yeah.
Well, I have like pesto in my fridge, and I have spinach and mozzarella. And I'm going to try like adding like feta and artichoke hearts. And I'm going to make some different biscuit creations in my muffin pans. So that's something else I'm going to be working on.
Yeah. And that's great, Mindy, because you're mentioning using up your supplies. And I have been finding like, I want to use up some of these things that have been in my cupboards for a while.
Right, right.
Well, I have a really good cookie recipe, and it only has 3 ingredients. So it's one that I've made in the past before when I kind of have a craving, but I know I don't have a lot of ingredients for a fancy cookie.
Yeah.
But it's just a cup of peanut butter, a cup of sugar, and 1 egg.
Ooh.
So there's no flour at all. And you just roll the dough up into kind of balls, put them in the oven like 350, maybe 325, maybe for 20 minutes. And then you kind of press them down with the fork. You know how you see peanut butter cookies with the little fork marks in them? They are so good, y'all.
That's easy enough for your kids to do too. You know, if you have younger kids and you really want to get them started on baking.
Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. All right. Well, Julie, what was another thing you were going to bring to the table for listeners today?
This is a show I've watched called The Chosen, and you watch it through the Chosen app, and then you can cast it to your television. Now, you could just watch it on your phone or your computer, but I prefer to watch it on the television. Mm-hmm. And it is far and away the best on-screen depiction of the life of Christ that I've ever seen. And the writing and the character development are just really, really exceptional. The scenery and the settings are just stunning, the casting choices, and it really delves into the backstories of the New Testament characters, you know, based on what we do know about them. But then you see Jesus through their eyes. And one unique thing is it's viewer funded.
Oh.
You can choose to pay for it or you don't have to. But they say, you know, if you'd like to pay it forward, this amount of money would allow this number of people to now watch this. And they'd like to get season 2 out by Easter.
Okay. So you said that you watch that on the Chosen app and then you cast it to your TV. We'll definitely put a link to that in the show notes for listeners.
Yeah, give it a try. I think you'll like it.
Yeah. Mindy, what else did you bring to the table for us today?
Okay. Well, this is actually from my son, who just gets these ideas in his mind about things that he wants to learn and do. And then he just doggedly chases after that idea. So I talked about him before wanting to learn a backflip. Well, now that he's doing school at home and he has time during the day, he decided he was going to learn how to play the piano. He found an app. And there was basically a free testing with it. So we didn't have to pay anything up front. And so I got to see that he was actually going to be consistent with it before I paid any money. But literally, he is spending hours every day learning how to play the piano. And I could not believe how fast he started playing with 2 hands. Like my older kids have taken piano lessons at home before, so I've seen the process. Mm-hmm. But watching and basically hearing Nathan all day long practice the piano, he loves it. And so it's a great time if you have an instrument at home. Like I have a flute that I used to play in high school. I'm pulling that sucker out. If people want to learn it. I mean, there's an app for everything.
And what is that app called again, Mindy?
It's called Joy Tunes, JOYTUNES. And so basically, you know, we purchased 3 months in advance, and he takes the iPad over to the piano and it shows on the screen and it plays with him and it can hear what he's playing. So it tells him if he's not playing the right note. He was playing like Bruno Mars yesterday. He was playing Maroon 5. Then he's playing Amazing Grace. I mean, we're all over the map with the type of music he's trying to play. Because that even gives him options of like popular songs he wants to try. And I would have never thought about that myself. But even my husband is like, I'm going to learn how to play the piano.
That's awesome.
That's such a neat example of how boredom, you know, stretches you, makes you seek something out you maybe wouldn't have before.
Yes, he would have never done that. I loved it so much. And I had to make him get off. Like, he's so excited about it.
Right. Oh, well, that's cool. I'm going to suggest that to my daughter this week. Perhaps she will be interested. She has a keyboard in her room, so
There you go.
that would be great. That would be great. All right. Well, I know that a lot of us need a little bit of break from the news, so I wanted to bring a book to share with listeners that a friend had recommended to me this week, and I just devoured it. It is called The Favorite Daughter by Kyra Ruda. It's kind of a psychological suspense novel, and it says the perfect home, the perfect family, the perfect lie. Jane Harris lives in a sparkling home in an oceanfront gated community. It's a place that seems too beautiful to be touched by sadness, but exactly 1 year ago, her oldest daughter, Mary, died in a tragic accident, and she's been grief-stricken ever since. Lost in the haze of antidepressants, she's barely left the house, and now that's all about to change.
Oh
Julie,
my
no, Julie, it's good.
Just
I
pushing me
promise.
over the edge.
No, I promise you, it's good. Like I really couldn't quite predict till the end what had actually happened. And there wasn't anything like graphic about the violence or, anything like that. It really is just this mother is a nutcase and what really happened here.
And I was going to suggest rereading Heidi.
Well, y'all are both wrong. I was going to suggest you get your Bible out.
Well, anyways, if listeners need an escape and they want to just read a good suspense, I'm telling you, The Favorite Daughter, it was great. It was actually available. The audiobook was out of my library, but the book was in. So I just read it on my phone. Most of the libraries are closed, but you can still get things digitally through the Overdrive app.
Great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Julie, you may not give it a chance, but some listeners out there may.
I am living in enough suspense.
Right.
No, I'm sure a lot of people will like that.
All right, Julie, well, what do you want to share with listeners?
Well, okay, a project that I've been doing. It's crafty. It's macrame jewelry. I saw this Christmas tree pendant 2 years ago on Etsy for sale, and I wanted to make them, but she wasn't offering patterns. She was just selling the finished product. So I had tried a couple of times to figure it out and just gave up. I couldn't do it. So now I've revisited that, and after about 6 tries, I've got it.
Oh.
So I can actually make it now. So now every night, I'm kind of developing a little routine. I get in my chair, we watch some TV, and I make one. I can make one in an evening. So now I have 10. So everybody might be getting one for Christmas.
Julie,
10, my
awesome.
goodness, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So I just really look forward to it every evening because it's just so soothing and calming. And it's just a routine I've developed, and I look forward to it now. And I haven't had that yet in this quarantine. Everything's just been kind of new every day and you don't know what you're doing, but that has become a routine that I look forward to.
Oh, that's awesome. I certainly look forward to seeing those. Can we put a picture of those on Instagram this week?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Mindy, what else did you bring to the table for us today?
So my son is still working at Chick-fil-A. The drive-through is still open. And so one night we were all just dying to get out of the house. We actually planned dinner and a movie in our minivan.
Ooh.
We picked out a movie, Cheaper by the Dozen, nice and lighthearted and
I like
funny.
that movie.
We got in the minivan with our DVD player in there, and we went through the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A, sat in the parking lot, watched the movie, talked, ate our Chick-fil-A, had shakes, went through the drive-thru again to see Grant again, got shakes. I mean, it was just like our family outing in the minivan.
Oh, that is so fun, Mindy. I love that idea.
And it was funny because we're sitting in the Chick-fil-A parking lot and there's like 4 other cars in the parking lot. There's 2 girls talking through windows at each other. There's other people out there doing the same thing. If the drive-thru is open, hey.
Yes, that's the best kind of drive-in movie.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
That's such a great idea.
Yes. Well, speaking of movies, I know that a lot of people have been watching Netflix quite a bit, and I really haven't increased my TV watching too much, but I'm always on the hunt for a new show. So this one that I want to recommend to listeners was actually recommended to me by my parents. And a lot of times I take their recommendations with a grain of salt. But they had recently recommended my very fun binge watch, A French Village. So I took them up on this, and it's called The Invisible Guest on Netflix. And the description on Netflix says, after waking up to his now dead lover in a hotel room, a young businessman hires a prominent lawyer to figure out how he ended up as a murder suspect.
Ooh.
And it is really good. There's a lot of twists and turns, and you won't predict the ending. The caveat is that it's in Spanish. So you have to watch it with subtitles. But I promise you forget you're reading the subtitles very quickly. And my husband very reluctantly started this movie with me. But he quickly got into it, and we both really liked it. And then my daughter and her husband also enjoyed it so much that they recommended it to their friends who loved it. So it's just a 2-hour movie, and the plot line is so good. And there's nothing graphic or horror about it. I mean, I feel like it's probably a PG rating. Maybe it has some swear words that would bring it up to a PG-13. But, I feel like you could almost just enjoy it as a family. If you have like high schoolers that were taking Spanish, they may enjoy watching this movie just to try out how much they still remember.
Good idea, Marie.
It's called The Invisible Guest on Netflix.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can maybe count that as foreign language for the day and mark off some homeschooling.
I love it. That is a great idea.
I did look up a list of the best movies to watch during a pandemic.
Oh, okay.
They have a list of 20 movies. One of the suggestions was also to watch the Oscar Best Picture winners. And they gave a list of every Oscar Best Picture winner back from the beginning of when they started offering the award to the current. I saw a lot of movies that I had just forgotten about that were really good movies that I'd like to go back and watch, or long movies that I think, oh, I don't have time for that, but now we do. So that's kind of a cool idea to just look back at those.
Right.
Yeah, and how many years has the Oscars been in existence?
I think it started in the 30s, so it's a long time.
Okay, so I mean,
wow.
you could probably watch one a day in this pandemic, and you
Pretty
might
much.
still go through the entire list.
And even if you didn't go through the entire list, because they wouldn't all interest me, at least have the list to make your choice from.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Really good. All right, who has something else to recommend to listeners? Mindy, what else is on your list?
All right. Well, something fun my daughter and I have done is we have figured out how to use the house in different ways for working out. And so we tried to do Zumba in my living room, and we realized, no, you can't really do Zumba on an area rug.
Right. It's going to be kind of moving as you move.
Right. We needed a little more space. And so we ended up going downstairs. We have a kitchen downstairs with tile floor. We literally set up a TV on the kitchen counter, and my Zumba instructor had made a playlist off of YouTube. And so we were able to do a lot of the same choreo that we did in class that our teacher got from YouTube. And we had so much fun. And so basically, we're doing Zumba in the basement now.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great idea for listeners to kind of look around their house and say, all right, I'm not using this room right now, but I do have this activity I want to try. Let's switch it up.
Right. And I think there are a plethora of workout opportunities online. I know my YMCA is providing the Les Mills workouts for free online. Again, my biggest battle is with my own laziness.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to Abby's boyfriend, Joey, is very dedicated to working out. And we talked about creating a house of pain that you would have to go through basically each room doing those activities in order. And so that's another great idea, just to use your rooms, use your set of stairs, use the coffee table for dips. I mean, there's just a million and one things you can do. So
that's awesome. Mindy.
Yeah, we've actually started doing that too. We have a long hallway upstairs that runs the full length of the house.
Right.
And so David mentioned that he had done lunges with these heavy weights up and down the hall. And I got my weights and did them all the way up and down the hall twice.
Yes.
Then you can do squats all the way down the hall. There's so much you can do. And like my trainer will send workouts that we can do at home without needing anything but your own body weight. So it's possible.
Right.
If you have the motivation, it's possible to do it.
The motivation is the key.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I will share with listeners something that has been motivating me to get up early. I think this quarantine is so hard on introverts. Mindy, I don't think you're an introvert. And Julie, I don't know about you.
My moments.
Do you? Okay.
Oh,
But
I do.
I just like when you're quarantining with your family and you're an introvert,
Right.
you're never alone. Like
It's true.
people are coming in, even if they're not talking to you, them walking into the room destroys your introvert aura. Like,
Right.
I need to recharge, and people
Yep.
around all the time is just not conducive to that. So I have actually been getting up a lot earlier than I normally would, like even in the summer,
Right.
because I know that is my only time of the day. Everybody else is sleeping in, and I can have it be quiet. So there's like a good 2 hours from like 7 to 9 where people aren't going to talk to me. They aren't going to need anything. And I just have been getting out of bed just to enjoy those 2 hours.
You're so smart, Marie, because at night, it's amazing how much I'm like, don't touch me. Don't talk to me. Like I have been talked to all day long. And I love my family, but I am so overstimulated that, yes, I'm craving that kind of alone time. I feel like I'm a young mom again with toddlers.
Yes. So I recommend that today to listeners. Get up before your family gets up.
Good idea.
Something to save sanity during the quarantine.
Right. My poor husband is like, you guys leave your mom alone. She won't even look at me at night.
I know. It's very difficult. The overstimulation is really what it is.
Yes, I'm with you, Marie. You have to have some downtime. And like I said earlier in our podcast, my piano is playing all day long. So you guys can just imagine that.
Oh, man. Julie, what else do you have to recommend today?
I've started a habit that I heard about actually on another podcast, and it is a quarantine journal. And it's actually been fun because she suggested writing about the big and small things. It doesn't have to seem important or significant because nothing ever seems that way in the middle of it, but it will at some point. Just trying to write about like what I'm thinking, what I'm actually doing, what I'm not doing,
Right.
just how things are so different. And even just trying to capture some of the news that comes out, some of the good news and the extreme news, because I think someday my future self will find this interesting and maybe my family,
No,
just to kind of document it.
Julie.
Yeah. And do you have like a dedicated notebook for that?
Yeah, I had a notebook that I bought at Christmas, because I was going to be doing journaling, and
Little did you know.
Yeah, and so there was an empty one that I hadn't started, so I went ahead and put a Sharpie label, Quarantine Journal 2020.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, I have heard that you can also do that even just with pictures. So we were at a walk earlier this week and we walked by a park and they had a big sign like play on the playground at your own risk due to COVID-19 and all this instructions about washing and social distancing. And I took a picture of it because like someday that'll look really historic.
Oh, that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Another thing, if you're really not into journaling or writing, you could just take the pictures that you've posted on Instagram and attach your own hashtag, like something maybe that not everybody using, not like COVID-19, but something personal, your own. And then that would be a way to pull back all those pictures later that had to do with the quarantine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is a great idea to catalog the time.
Yeah. So like Mindy, you could have Silman Quarantine 2020. No one else is probably going to have that.
Right.
I love that. That's a great idea. No, it's good to write these things down because these moments in, our history will be very important. And the lessons learned, I think we won't realize how valuable until later.
Yes.
The things that come out of this.
Yes. I really even feel like the past 3 episodes we've made, this one included, are kind of like an oral history because every week we've been talking about more coronavirus updates and how it's affecting our lives. just in
Right.
general.
And you think about it, we get our history mostly from primary documents. Like, what do we, this podcaster said, what do we know about some of the Revolutionary War except that we have letters from Abigail Adams to her husband? Like, like personal writings do help us document our history. And not that anybody's going to be reading my journal in a history class someday, but maybe my own family will,
Right.
Right.
Oh, wow.
All right, Mindy, what else do you have to recommend?
My husband loves me so much that even though I did not buy any Girl Scout cookies while they were being sold in my neighborhood or at my YMCA, he sent me the link that you can still buy Girl Scout cookies online and have them mailed to your home.
Oh, wow. So if you missed out, you can have more.
Don't tell John.
The funny story about this is my favorite ice cream is only made once a year at a local ice cream shop named Zwallen's. They make a thin mint cookie ice cream.
Ooh.
They only sell it once a year. So let me tell you what happened and why this is funny. I bought a quart of it a couple weeks ago when they made it, before the store went basically out of, before they closed down.
Sure.
All right. So I bought a quart. I put it in my freezer. I had a couple of bites and I was savoring it. Then we found out we had to move Abby out of her dorm and move her home. So I had to leave town for 3 days to move my daughter home from college. When I got back, the first thing I go to look for is my quart of Thin Mint cookie ice cream. It is gone.
Oh.
My son, Jacob, ate the entire thing while I was moving my daughter home from college. And then he proceeded to tell me over the next few days how good the ice cream was. It had chunks of Thin Mint cookie in it, Mom. I'm like, I know. He's like, just go buy some more. I'm like, I can't. They sell it one time a year. I have been so sad over this ice cream that he ate. Like, I have truly mourned the ice cream. So my husband said, I guess we can make our own. And he sent me the link to purchase the Girl Scout cookies online.
Oh, that's awesome.
I bought like $50 worth of cookies last night online. I can't wait to get them.
That's a good idea.
Yes. Well, making ice cream would be a good family activity during this time. And even better if you are making a kind that you can only get once a year.
That's right.
Hey, on that note, I wanted to share something that our neighborhood is doing that's really fun. Is they have brought in food trucks starting tonight, and I think it's 3 or 4 times a week. And you can phone in your order and then just go down to the clubhouse and pick it up.
Oh, that's awesome. And what a great way to support all these different food trucks.
Yeah, and they have a lot of good variety. So I'm excited.
I would love that.
Yes.
That is so, I wish I lived closer to your neighborhood.
And Julie and John are a bit of kind of like food truck connoisseurs. So I know this is going to be right up their alley.
Yeah. Tonight is like Spanish empanadas, and burgers are Friday night. There's a lot of good choices.
Oh,
Right.
awesome. And we're getting some good weather this week, so it's a perfect time to eat outside.
Say, I would get all dressed up for that.
Yes. All right. Julie, do you have anything else you want to share with listeners?
Yeah, we have played a few games. Marie, you've mentioned that you like Ticket to Ride.
Mm-hmm.
Right before the quarantine, I was in Walmart and I found a London version of Ticket to Ride. So I just
Cool.
had to get it. And instead of trains, you have little London buses, little double-decker buses.
Fun.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, and it's got all the London neighborhoods. So I was so excited. So we played it the other night and it was fun. It's a little shorter than the full version. The London version maybe takes 40 minutes. So that was really fun. Another thing I found is we like to play cards. I have found a Canasta app. And it just opens up a game table and gives you a partner and you can play 2, 4 people. And it's very user friendly. Like, it's very easy to play. Trying to get Marie to download the app and see if we can't create a table with people that we know, because that's kind of the goal for me, is to play with people that we know, not
How fun.
strangers. But it worked just like the regular game. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, good. Now, do you play partners with that or do you play individually?
You can.
Okay.
I played individually on the game that I played, but you can do partners.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. All right. Yes, that needs to be one of my goals this week, is to download that app and try it out.
I'll say with games, we're pulling everything out of the game closet. We've been playing a lot of Scrabble, ironically. My youngest son, Nathan, has been very interested. He actually, a couple of years ago, had a hard time with spelling. And that's just his vocabulary, his spelling, his grammar has grown exponentially over the past couple of years. And I have loved playing Scrabble with him.
Oh, good.
We're learning new words. He's learning, new words, how to spell them, things like that. Playing chess, working on strategy, playing the game of life. Everything in our game closet has come out.
Yes, yes. I know. I've even found my kids playing a game together. And that's a rarity. Usually if a parent is not involved, there's going to end up being some fighting. But my two girls have been playing bananagrams together a lot. So,
oh, nice.
That's great.
I love that.
Yeah.
I've seen a quote. We've seen a lot of the best creative content on Facebook and Instagram right now. And I love even on our Midlife Matters Instagram page, we're sharing a lot of those funny memes.
Yes.
But I saw a meaningful quote that I wanted to share. And it just really meant a lot. It said, "When the dust settles, we'll realize how little we need, how very much we actually have, and the true value of human connection."
Oh.
And I felt like that summed up the things that have been going on in my mind lately, that, looking around your house, realizing all of the blessings that we really do have, simplifying, really, just bringing it back to the basics, and then how much we do value our human connection. So even the three of us talking each week, ways to communicate with friends and family, it's a unique time. So I loved that quote. Just wanted to share it.
Yes, that's definitely something that we don't want to lose over the next month is our human connection. So I think any ways that we can find to increase that are great.
Yeah, thankful for technology, which is ironic that technology is keeping us connected.
Yes, for sure. All right, ladies, I know that we've had a lot of recommendations here today, but it is time to move into our I'm a Fan. All right, Mindy, in addition to everything you talked about this week, what are you a fan of?
All right. I am a huge fan of Bertolli spaghetti sauce. I typically do not do a homemade spaghetti sauce, but I am kind of picky about which one I like. This has been my favorite. I've tried a lot of different types of sauces, and I truly love to kind of mix and match the different flavors. But I have loved the Bertolli brand. It just tastes the best to us. I get a lot of compliments on it if I make it for other people. And so it is my go-to spaghetti sauce for all things Italian.
Yeah, I've tried that before. I'm not a real connoisseur of spaghetti sauce, but if someone tells me something's good, I'll go ahead and try it. I never make my own for sure.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Julie, what are you a fan of this week?
All right, I'm a fan of a Trader Joe's item again, and it's their pork carnitas. And I think it's about $5.99. It is so good, shredded and served on their little street taco flour tortillas.
Mm-hmm.
The first time I bought it, I'll be honest, I didn't love it because the directions only tell you to microwave it, which I think is odd.
Right.
So the next time I bought it, I put it in a pan, put a little water and some seasoning on it, covered it in foil, and heated it in the oven. And it was night and day difference. I mean, it was delicious because the first time it was kind of rubbery and I had to cut it. It wouldn't shred. But in the oven, it was delicious. I mean, it tasted just as good as any I've ever made, from scratch myself. So I highly recommended that. You can put guacamole, cheese, salsa.
That is something that I picked up on my trip to Trader Joe's this past week based on your recommendation. And I will tell listeners, it was absolutely delicious. I bought 2. It actually served 7 people, plenty of food. It's shredded beautifully. I did it in the oven like you had suggested, Julie, and used their little street tacos. It was a great meal. So if you're looking for something fun to implement this month, that would be a great one. We also have a whole episode devoted to Trader Joe's finds. If you want to go back and listen to episode 59, you can come up with lots of things that you could try at your local Trader Joe's that would make this month more fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I'm a fan of something that probably a lot of people have heard, but it's kind of saving my life a bit this month. I'm a fan of Xyzal allergy, the 24-hour pills, and it's spelled Xyzal. You've probably seen them. I started, as soon as the trees start blooming, I start feeling my ears kind of get itchy and filled up. And I thought, this is the year not to walk around with allergy symptoms, or
it's true.
People might tackle you to the ground and call the police.
True. Yeah.
So I decided I'm going on some over-the-counter allergy medication. So I've been on it for about a month. And it actually, I think, helps me sleep a little bit, too, because you're supposed to take it right before bed. And every night, after it's been 24 hours since the last night, I can feel my ears starting to fill up again. But I take that, and by morning, it's gone. And, every week here in Tennessee, there's a new thing blooming.
It's
so
true.
I'll probably be on it maybe another month. But if you are out there and you don't want to be scaring people with coronavirus symptoms that they might be fearful of, get yourself some Xyzal and calm your allergies down.
That's a great word.
And protect yourself.
Move up to the north. My allergies have never been better.
There's nothing blooming. All right, well, listeners, we hope you've heard some recommendations that you think might make sheltering in place a little more fun, interesting, or productive in the month of April. And we're going to have links to all the things we've mentioned in the show notes. You can find our show notes on our website at midlifematterspodcast.com. Or if you want them to come straight to your inbox each week, email us at midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com. Just write show notes in the subject line, and we'll add you to the list. As always, you can find us posting each week on Instagram about all the things we talk about. Follow us there if you have any suggestions of other activities or products that you want other people to know how you're getting through the quarantine. Tag us at Midlife Matters Podcast, and we'll share them in our stories. And I know that I would love to hear what listeners are doing because it would give me some ideas.
Yeah,
Right.
we need some more ideas.
Yes, we do.
Yes. All right, Mindy and Julie, thank you for your ideas. It was great talking to you today, and I can't wait to try some of the things you said. We'll talk to you guys next week.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye. We're so happy you joined us today. If you'd like to get the show notes for today's episode, please email your name and address to midlifematterspodcast@gmail.com and write show notes in the subject line. Also, please tell a friend about the show and help them hit the free subscribe button on their favorite podcast app. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Midlife Matters Podcast. That's where we post pictures and stories about all the things we talk about in each episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.